over the years.
One of the last big events of each summer will begin here on Montana's news station. It's the Jerry Lewis Labor Day Telethon for the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Well, this week we're introducing you to some of Jerry's kids in western Montana, and tonight we visit with a familiar face and get an update on one life that's been touched by MDA. Ian Marquand has our story.
To Bruce Burk, the basic things of life mean a lot.
Number one, happy to be alive, because a lot of the buddies that I used to have in the MDA summer camps, for example, most of them are gone now. I went to a couple of funerals just within the last couple of years, and they were some of the last of the people that were there.
A decade and more ago, Bruce Burk was one of the most visible symbols of muscular dystrophy in western Montana. In the time since, he's earned a college degree, moved to Oregon and back, and started his own community newspaper. He's also married and become a father.
Should we go up the ramp or anything, or?
Yeah. Let's go up there.
You go up there?
Yeah.
At first, when we decided to have children, before we had James here, I thought that can a guy in a wheelchair with muscular dystrophy be a parent? And it was really, the answer really didn't come very hard, because I thought of the kind of my motto of life is that there's probably about 20,000 things that we can do in life, and I could probably only do 10,000 of them. But at least I could concentrate on those 10,000 and not really have to worry about the others that I can't do.
Bruce also has become a visible advocate for people with disabilities. He's fought and won battles for himself and for others. His newspaper commentaries are featured in the Missoulian, and for 3 years he's been editor, publisher, and writer of the Lolo Peak News.
It's one of my loves. I love to meet with the people, and it's just sometimes it's a challenge to keep up with it, and other times it's just a real love. I think it's a love-hate relationship.
This past year has been a rough one. Bruce and his wife separated. Pneumonia forced him into the hospital, where, in his words, he had to face his disability head-on. But Bruce Burk is a survivor, and he still considers himself one of Jerry's kids.
Most definitely. They've always been there for me. Summer camps, clinics, being raised with a hope for a cure, and that is real. It's just been a major part of my life, and I think when people ask me that, am I still Jerry's kid, I think, yeah, I am.
In Missoula, I'm Ian Marquand reporting for Montana's news station.
And our thanks to the Future Homemakers of America organization in our Lee. High school kids there raised $300 and just handed over a check today to the Muscular Dystrophy Association in Montana, and their efforts are very much appreciated.
He's a really considerate kid. He's 3 years old. He can even drive an electric wheelchair around. And when he plays with his friends, I've noticed that he, like if they're building little Lincoln log homes or little houses and castles and things like that, he'll always mention that he wants to put a wheelchair ramp on there. And the other day, one of his friends asked him, why do you want to put a wheelchair ramp on there? He says, so my daddy can get in. So he's really conscious of thinking of other people, and he's been raised with it, that he knows that his daddy has to do things a little differently than a lot of folks, but it's come natural to him. It's part of his life. And as I was growing up, the Muscular Dystrophy Association was set up to help families, to help, not only parents that had kids with disabilities, with muscular dystrophy, but also people with muscular dystrophy that have kids that don't have muscular dystrophy. They've always been there for me. Summer camps, clinics, being raised with a hope for a cure, and that is real. And research is being boosted now, and it's very vital. We've been supplied with state-of-the-art wheelchairs, and they're still helping in the purchase of wheelchairs. And it's just been a major part of my life, and I think when people ask me that, am I still Jerry's kid, I think, yeah, I am. And I'm very thankful for the support I've gotten, even as an adult now.
Well, we are less than a week away from the annual Jerry Lewis Labor Day Telethon. This week we'll meet people whose stories illustrate what MDA and the Telethon are all about. Tonight we begin with a man who was honored earlier this year for his achievements in the face of disability. Ian Marquand with that story.
It's been a year since we reintroduced Bruce Burk to you.
Yep.
Since then, Bruce has had another close brush with death and gained a new lease on life. Last winter, pneumonia almost got the best of Bruce for the second year in a row and forced him to make some concessions to the disease. He now uses a ventilator at night to help him breathe and give his lungs a needed rest. He underwent surgery for a tracheostomy, a permanent opening in the throat that should prevent pneumonia by allowing nurses to clean out Bruce's bronchial tubes. Some might consider those developments setbacks, but for Bruce, they've dramatically improved his outlook and his life.
And now I feel better than I have in 3 years, maybe even 5 years. And I now have what I call a second life to look forward to with this and a chance to live.
Although Bruce's condition requires more care, he remains an independent spirit. He still drives his van and still enjoys his trips outdoors to hunt or just to motor through the Lee Metcalf Wildlife Refuge. Because of that spirit, Bruce was named as the 1996 Montana winner of MDA's Personal Achievement Award, which recognized his many accomplishments in the face of his disability. He also has continued his journey as a survivor of muscular dystrophy. He refers often to the 20 or so young people with whom he shared summer camps and clinics in the 1970s and 80s. They are gone now, and only Bruce remains to tell their story.
I think their story is that they always lived with a hope for a cure or for longer life expectancy. And I never saw them let go of that. They always had that with them.
Bruce Burk is still one of Jerry's kids, and he's determined not to let those who have passed on be forgotten. In Stevensville, I'm Ian Marquand, reporting for Montana's news station.
We'll be hearing more about people like Bruce coming up this week with the Jerry Lewis Telethon coming up this Labor Day weekend, right here on Montana's news station.
Muscular dystrophy is a disease thousands of children are born with, but with no cure, many do not live beyond their childhood. Sam Louie has more on how one person has persevered despite the challenges.
Very important day. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
36-year-old Bruce Burk was awarded the state's 1996 Muscular Dystrophy Personal Achievement Award. Each year, the award goes to a person who shows an ability to overcome difficulties and live life to its fullest. Bruce found out he had a form of the disease right before his 8th birthday. Soon afterwards, he became physically limited to a wheelchair. And just last winter, he survived a dangerous bout with pneumonia.
Looked death squarely in the face, and I had accepted the challenge of living life. And so this award is an honor with that connection.
Bruce has an impressive list of accomplishments. He graduated from the University of Montana with a journalism degree and followed that up with a master's degree in rehabilitation counseling. He has worked as a financial planner and currently is the publisher of the Lolo Peak News. But he says there are other careers he's considering.
I really feel a calling to teaching and to maybe help others to understand disability issues. And
so what advice does he have for those of us struggling in any aspect of life?
You can have no control over the circumstance, but you do have control over the choice as to what to do with that circumstance.
And it's this kind of attitude that has helped Bruce survive life's toughest challenges. In Missoula, Sam Louie reporting for Montana's news station.
Ann Burke is currently pursuing a PhD in education at the University of Montana. Congratulations.
Many years. His name is Bruce Burk, and what he's going to do is tell you about some of his fellow friends who went to summer camp in the early years. They call the initial 20, and I'm afraid that Bruce Burk is the last of that group because they have all died in the meantime. So Bruce can tell us a little bit about what summer camp meant to him and some of the friends he misses.
On the outside, I feel very proud and very happy and thankful. And on the inside, I keep remembering these 20 original MDers that we were together in the beginning. And it feels like I still feel like I have an obligation to tell their part of the story, and that I feel that award is kind of coming out through them. I think their story is that they always lived with a hope for a cure or for longer life expectancy, and I never saw them let go of that. They always had that with them. And I think now with the telethon coming up and being here, we need to look as a public and see, to decide very carefully that if we do to contribute our dollars, do those dollars go to good? And from my experiences, I can say that they have. And I think from the original 20 MDers that I've been talking about, I think that they would also endorse that too, to continue that hope.
Bruce is himself an inspiration. He is the editor of the Lolo Peak News in Lolo, Montana, my hometown, and he also has a young son. And for any of the children who are struggling with muscular dystrophy, he's a guy that would be somebody to give them hope. And he has achieved so much. And his famous line is, if people can do 20,000 things in their life, he can only do 10,000, but that's still quite a bit.
That's still 10,000.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Speaking of 10,000, we're into the thousands.